So now, instead of FOMOing into absolutely diabolical projects and losing all of your cash, you can look at some airdrops. So today we're going to be talking about the Solana airdrops that I'm keeping an eye on, and the ones that you can still make rewards from that you're not too late. We'll talk about why some are better than others and how far along each are, or how big that community is so far. So depending on how many people you're going to share the projects with. So without further ado, we'll get into it. So this is just a tweet from Fabiano.sol. He's talking about all of the Solana airdrop projects that are still happening. So we can see quite a lot here. These orange ones are potentials, the red ones are unlikely, and the green ones are confirmed. So the first one we're going to take a look at is Jupiter, and this is just about the airdrop. So they have actually released 10% already, and there is another 30% to go, so there's still quite a lot for you to claim. And essentially all Jupiter is a swap function. It's actually really good. So I was just looking at swapping Satoshi, and instead of doing the usual like sushi swap where you have to switch to the network, move it around, this will essentially just do all of that for you. So it will link it to Sol and then read it into Toshi, which is pretty nice. So for beginners, this is actually really good swapping tool to use. It's much easier than a lot of the other ones that are out there. And then you can use this to essentially just act as your standard swapping token. It has pretty low fees, so this would only cost me not 5 Sol, which is pretty good. And basically all you have to do is just interact with the platform. So just when you are basically swapping tokens, you just have to use Jupiter to swap those tokens. So it's pretty simple as far as that goes. But it doesn't have any way of telling us how that's going to be distributed. My assumption would be that the more you use the platform and the more you are actually swapping and being a degen and buying like crazy wild altcoins that you're probably going to lose money on, you're going to be collecting some sort of points system in the background that you'll get an allocation based on how much you actually did use the platform. So if you are going to be a degen and you're going to be trading a lot, or you're just trading a lot in general because you're just such a pro and amazing trader, best to use Jupiter. Also, you can look at Maya, it's pretty similar. Like they have similar rewards, a similar setup, just essentially a swapping platform. So you can just go on there and just use it as well. Which one that you use is up to you. They're both pretty good. And you can just see here that you just need to click your Solana on it. And then the last 30% will be allocated in 3 rounds. So 10% each time. So probably the best that you get in sooner. It's the same with all of these airdrops. The sooner you get in, the earlier that you are, the better you're going to perform. And we'll talk about some more tips at the end of this video about how you can maximize your airdrop returns. But yeah, that's Jupiter. So rewards will be distributed in their coin, which would be the JLP. And you can also earn APR on this coin whilst holding it. So 70% of generated fees are distributed back to the holders. So they're just giving back what they make, which is really good. So it's a good incentive to hold the token. So this token is not actually released yet. So once that does come out, there's going to be a big incentive to holding it because you're getting 70% of the generated fees distributed back to the holders. So it could be a good token to hold as well as the platform gains popularity. It is just one of the easiest swapping platforms to use. So I think it's worth just getting into this when you are doing your trades, you're swapping, because you have got the low fees. You get to get the token as a reward through the airdrop, as well as you're getting the token that will potentially do a multiple X, and that just gives you your fix as being a degen trader, so you can actually win out on a lot of counts. So that's my first Jupiter. I think it's really good. It's worth taking a look at, and you don't really have to do a lot to do it. You're not really staking anything as such, so you're just essentially using their platform, so there's much less risk in your eyes. And the next we're going to talk about is MarginFi. So MarginFi is essentially just a liquidity provider or a borrowing provider. So if you stake your crypto on the platform, you can lend it out to others for essentially a fee. And if you want to borrow against your tokens, you can essentially do that for a fee. It is quite big already, so I think that it is already quite diluted. There is quite a lot of wallets on there already that have accumulated a lot of points. So essentially, by holding tokens as a lending, you will get rewards. And if you're borrowing as well, you're going to get rewards. But I had a look at it, and basically, even just with a few points, you're like massively down the ranks already. So the likelihood of getting an airdrop is much less, or essentially getting any reward is probably much less. So it's a good platform to do. I think it's actually got a lot of potential as a good platform, but there are other ones like this which are doing exactly the same thing, which brings us on to our next one, which is Parcel. And this one's quite interesting. So if you're in the real estate market, this is actually quite cool for you. You can essentially speculate on rising and falling real estate markets, and I have one here, which is Austin, for example. You can essentially bet long on the market or short on the market, and whether you think that's going to do well or not at the moment is purely speculative. Obviously, with rates being high and thinking that they're going to come down, there's potential that the real estate market might bounce back, but as maybe more and more people, I don't know if it's as big in the US, obviously, because they have like 30-year mortgages, but I imagine that in London, obviously, people are a lot of refinancing. So if you want to be a DJ in different markets, you can absolutely just go ahead and just bet on real estate as well. I mean, don't do this if you literally know nothing about it. Obviously, there's leverage in this as well. So obviously, this is not financial advice. Just stick to farming airdrops, because in my eyes, there's zero risk. For this purpose of this video, though, we're just going to stick to farming airdrops, which are risk-free. We love risk-free. We love free stuff, baby. Give it to us. Thank you. So yeah, essentially that's one part of it. Yeah, the other part is very similar to Margin Fi in that it is a points-based system, and you can just be a liquidity pool provider. So you just have to stake your coins, your SOL on the platform, and then for every dollar you get 3 points per day. And this is for trading, so you only get 1 point per day per dollar for each that you do. So you actually get much more for being a liquidity provider. So it's actually much more beneficial to be a liquidity provider instead of actually trading. But maybe you want to just try your hand at the trading of real estate, because it is a unique way of trading. It's quite a unique thing. But you can already see that there is a lot of points already required. There's 65,000 wallets on here so far. That has gone up about 5k since I last looked. And we can see that obviously these wallets have got huge amounts already. So, I mean, that's if you had 80 million to 30 million. If you had 30 million a day, I mean, yeah, I don't want to do the maths. I can't even think about that right now. Again, this one is quite saturated already, but there is still a lot of potential here, and I think it's a good platform, and it obviously has quite a unique approach to what it's doing, so I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, these are just like the markets that you can trade in, so you can pretty much do the whole world. So it's unique in that aspect, right? And it has a way of potentially being a long-term thing, but just a way to just store your capital, be a liquidity provider, and collect these points, and then your points will be shown here. And then you'll just see essentially a rank. So this one's actually a confirmed one, so we know this is coming. Everyone's going to get that airdrop. Obviously, you wouldn't have a point system otherwise. It would be kind of pointless, but good platform. I think it's worth checking and looking out. So the last one I'm going to talk about, and I think this one's actually really good. Again, it's very similar in that it is just a lending platform. And essentially it's the same, so you can borrow, lend, and you get an APY for basically staking your token. So actually pretty good for some tokens, other ones pretty rubbish, and then other ones you can borrow as well, and they essentially make the difference. The one thing that's really good about Camino is they actually haven't advertised their point system yet. We can see here we have some points are coming soon, so this is actually really good because it hasn't been diluted yet, so you're still really early to this one, and that's the one I like about it. It's essentially the same as the other two, but we're still really early to the cake, so we're not stuck behind every other guy who's been farming it for God knows how long. Camino is still a pretty new one, so it's worth checking into this one. It's a new airdrop, so I think this one has a lot more potential if you maybe are staking less, or you're just starting out, because basically the more time that you're in it, obviously you're stacking those points up, so people have that long time head start to you, so you're almost at a huge disadvantage already. So that's why Camino is actually a really good one to do. So that essentially wraps up my 4 favorite airdrops at the moment that are available on the Sol blockchain. But just tips of airdrops, basically, it's better if you're early, so just be active on social medias, checking out what airdrops are coming, whether you can get in. So there was the Mantle one recently. Still find that project a bit fishy. It's a little bit weird how you could get such high APYs, but we'll discuss that in another video. And also, just double down on the project. If you are early, you find something like Camino, you get in this pretty early, just go all in, build up that point system, because the more you're just going to get from the airdrop, right? So it's better to do that. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. It will really help. Appreciate it. Thanks.